Yes, guys, welcome back to the show. How is everyone doing? This is your Manchester City versus Liverpool preview, guys. We have got Daps coming on very soon as well to give us everything on Manchester City. But big up to everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. As always, guys, don't forget, go and smash that like button as soon as you come into the house. Subscribe if you haven't. Please subscribe on the way to 4K. Share the video out, do all the good stuff. Big up to everyone in the house. Thank you very much for joining me. I do really appreciate it, of course. So, guys, a lot to talk about. It's City versus Liverpool. It's one of the biggest games in the English calendar. Make no doubts about it. You know, these two teams have got quite a rivalry going on right now. You know, and it's not going to be the same this season as in previous seasons. You know, Liverpool versus City. When we come down to this time of the season, it's usually, a title deciding game. Unfortunately for us right now, us Reds, it's not the case for us right now. You know, Liverpool having a terrible season, a transitional year, down in the lower part of the table, not where we should be, but it's where we are at the moment. But it's in a big game, huge game for both teams. I think neither team could afford to lose this game, in my opinion. Neither side can afford to lose this game. You know, City lose this game, they're going to could be 10 points away from Arsenal. With Arsenal, I think they got Leeds on the weekend, so you'd say that's title over. Liverpool don't win this game, going into a Chelsea and Arsenal in our next two games over Easter, you'd probably say it's top four over as well. It is a game neither can lose, and it's an early kickoff. The worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. It is an early kickoff, and Liverpool's early kickoffs this season have been terrible. I believe last season, Liverpool never lost. I don't think they lost a 12 kickoff last season. We didn't like them, but we were good at them. This season, don't think we won one. It's been awful. It's been absolutely awful. But I'm looking forward to the game. It's been 3 weeks since Liverpool played. And as bad as we are, I'm actually looking forward to Liverpool playing. You know, I do miss club football. International football is not what it used to be. It's not got the excitement levels that it once had. I think it's because now we have such an open platform, and now with the internet that you can watch any game of football from anywhere in the world now and see all your best players on one weekend. You don't have to wait for international football no more. So I think it's become a chore, become a bit of a bore, if I'm honest. So all that's out of the way. We're back to club football now till the end of the season. I can't wait for it. So yeah, I am looking forward to the Reds coming back. You know, I even watched training today. You know, it just felt good. It just felt good. I can't actually wait for a Jurgen Klopp press conference. That's how much I've missed club football. That's how much I've missed club football. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. Once Daps is here, we're going to talk everything about Manchester City. But just to bring a bit of news to everyone. So obviously, we have got some injuries out. So obviously, Thiago didn't train. Stefan Bajcetic didn't train. But Kostas Tsimikas did. Now, obviously, he came off for Greece the other day, didn't he? And everyone was a bit worried about the foul was quite nasty and the tackle was quite nasty, and he was going to be out for a while. But no, he came back and trained, so he seems to be absolutely fine. The good news is as well, Darwin Núñez is back in the back training. See, Darwin Núñez looks fresh. He looks fine. He looks fit. So yeah, it's good news for the team. It's good news for the team to see him, having fun training, and yeah, the club football is back, guys, and I can't wait for it. I really can't wait for it. But there's also a bit of news as well away from the game. Away from the game, there's a bit of news about a certain Mason Mount. So it's come out today that Mason Mount to Liverpool could very much well be on. I know this splits the fan base. I understand why. I really do. But it sounds like it is on. There's a lot of talk about it right now. And let me get the article. So Liverpool are rebuilding their midfield and believe they have a good chance of signing Mason Mount, is one article. The interest in Mason Mount from Liverpool is serious. Significant conversations have taken place over the move, which Liverpool already are giving a proper consideration to what kind of contract they would offer and persuade him to join. So by the sounds of it, it looks like Mason Mount is on his way to Liverpool. Now, I don't know how everyone's going to feel about that in the chat. It looks like, a lot of people are very split on it. I understand it as why. I understand why as well. I mean, Mason Mount is a figure that cuts a lot of people the wrong way. I actually think he's a decent footballer, man. I actually think Mason Mount's a decent footballer and will give us a little bit of something extra in midfield. I even think he could be that genie replacement that we've been looking for. But it's all about the price. So obviously today there was rumours that Mason Mount, Chelsea will not let Mason Mount go for anything less than 70 million. Now I don't believe them rumours to be true at all, because 70 million. Look, even if Mason Mount had 3 years left in his contract, no one's buying him for 70 million, let alone if he's got a year left in his contract. I believe that's a deal that will come down in price. I think Liverpool will knock that price down to like 30 odd mil. I really do. I think Liverpool can get hold of Mason Mount between the 35 and 40 million mark. I think Chelsea just trying to get as much money out of Mason Mount as possible, because they've got problems with FFP at the moment and they need to make money back. But yeah, Mason Mount at Liverpool definitely looks like it's on, and my man's here. Big up, Dak. How you doing, my man?
Good, man.
Been a while.
Been speaking about this game quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while.
You good? How's things?
Yeah.
How's the family?
Yeah, everyone's good, man. Everyone's doing well.
Good.
Everyone's doing good, man. Everyone's doing good. So yeah, I was just thinking about Mason Mount quickly there, and because it looks like him and Liverpool could be happening. So yeah, but
Henderson Mount Bellingham.
Yeah, I mean, I like my Mason Mount. I think he gets
I like him.
I don't know why he gets so. I don't know why he gets crucified so much. I think he's a decent player.
Do you know what?
So, yeah.
I think he'd actually suit. Do you know why I feel like Mason Mount actually deserves Liverpool? Because I think your fan base will all
respect him a bit more.
Predominantly all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue with Chelsea. Have got this real divide, didn't they?
Yeah.
They have got this divide. It's weird, and I hope to God it doesn't happen at my club. But there's this: if you're a global fan, then you think that Chelsea fans rate Mount too much because he's English, and it creates this weird divide. When actually you're both Chelsea fans, you should rate him. I think for me, when Chelsea have been at their worst, he's been that guy that actually still cares, that will drive them forward. Look, do you know what? When a player from so young has constantly been a part of an England setup, you can say managers have favourites and whatever else, yeah, but there is a reason. Like, there is a reason why Foden has captained England from like schoolboy level up and won like player of the tournament and all that in a World Cup winning England team. And the same with, if you look at a star boy at any club, usually they've been a star boy for their nation as well. I think the same with Mount. I think Chelsea's a spoiled fan base as well, to be frank with you. And I think Klopp could probably get the most out of Mason Mount.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chelsea are a weird fan base. They say like they rate Havertz, hate Mount, and
thank you, Bob. There's a perfect example.
It is weird over there, but as you say, they have been spoiled over the Roman years and everything.
Who was better in there? Who was better, not only in the Champions League final, but all season? Mount or Havertz? Mount, right?
Yeah.
Havertz scored the goal, but Mount was great in that. Mount had a good game in that game.
Yeah, Mount had a good game. He had good games against us as well. I think he's an all right player. I mean, what we need. Yeah, I've always said it. We Jurgen Klopp, he wants a certain kind of midfielder, and he makes them midfielders. He makes C-list midfielders into A-list midfielders. It's just the way. Yeah, it's the way he works. So if it works, I've always said it. I always put the way football is now. Football is so system orientated now that if you can get a player that works.
To Ronaldo?
What's that?
Is Mount similar to Wijnaldum?
I think Mount might play the Wijnaldum role because that's what we've been missing. We've been missing that midfielder.
Who do you miss more, Mane or Wijnaldum?
Wijnaldum. Yeah, I mean, Mane, when Mane's 27, 28, he was arguably the best left-hand side attacker in Europe at that time. Obviously, as he got older, he weren't as good, but he's still a great player now, don't get me wrong. But we've got Gakpo and Darwin now. You know, that he's been replaced, but we've not replaced Genie, and
No, you
we
never
miss
have.
him.
Never have.
No, well, we miss him. Look, we let Genie go, and we bought Thiago in. Now you could
But
arguably
right, Jamie,
you could say you bought a better footballer, but he doesn't do the same job. That's the
Jamie,
problem.
do you know what? When we first started Never a Foul, and I'm going to find the clip and send you it because I always kept it, right? We're doing a show, me, Ty, and 2 Liverpool fans in my man cave. And it was
Mm,
when you just signed Thiago.
mm,
And we were talking about signings. And I go, and this was the point where at that point you just won the league, right? And I said, I don't think Thiago is the right signing for Liverpool.
mm.
And the uproar from Ty, who's a United fan, and the 2, oh my God, you don't rate Thiago. I said, I did not say I don't rate Thiago. The 2
No.
players that I wanted Pep to bring with him were Thiago and is he Swiss Alba? Or
Oh yeah,
Alaba?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're 2. I said, but I said I don't think it's what Liverpool need. And at the time, I said, for me, they need a centre back because Van Dijk's been unreal, but one injury to their centre back pairing, and they've got big issues. For me, Liverpool needed a centre back so badly, and Thiago, great player, but I don't necessarily think he suits exactly what Liverpool need. And I did say at the time, and he does pick up injuries, right?
Mm,
And now when you look at it, if you look at it, it's a really awkward conversation that, I have awkward conversation with Arsenal fans all the time and they don't want to hear it, but it's just the truth, right? And for me, the truth is, if you look at Wijnaldum or you look at Thiago, like Wijnaldum was there when you won a Premier League and a Champions League, right?
Yeah.
There's the difference, right?
Yeah,
So
I agree. Look, Ronaldo is when Ronaldo left and we got Thiago in, you're upgrading the player from a footballing standpoint. But the problem is, I've said it on my channel for a while now that I love Thiago and he's a wonderful footballer. He's our best midfielder, but at the same time, it it's not the sort of the right player for the right system as well. It's a weird one, you know.
yeah,
Now, Wijnaldum's not as a good footballer as Thiago, and if you go pick a midfielder to have, you go pick Thiago. But for the system we play, sometimes you got to go with, unless you change systems, and that's what I've been
yeah, of
saying about
course,
Jurgen for a while. If you want people like Thiago in, it can work. If you change your system, you become different. You change formation. You know, you don't want Thiago running around. Unfortunately, we make Thiago run too much. That's not what you want him to do. You want
yeah.
Thiago to play the double pivot where he picks up space and he creates. That's the player he is, and you want that. But he can do that in this team sometimes. And he looks amazing, but
At the
as you say,
moment, with what you need at the
injuries.
moment,
Yeah,
with
it's
what you need right now, even when you're looking at Thiago and when Thiago comes back, right, you are kind of looking at it going, that's great and it will help us create. But at the moment, what we need more than anything is some legs. We need some
yeah,
energy. That's what we need.
yeah,
And
exactly.
he's not going to bring us that at the moment.
No, no, I think that's why they look
Same. Going into this game this weekend, right? Do you know what? The more I've thought about it and the more we miss Jesus for this game in particular, because
Yeah, he always calls us
Pep would
issues.
always bench
Yeah.
Jesus and start him against because he leads our press from the front. And I've been blaming for the last couple of weeks. I've been talking on how everyone likes to try and look at where City have gone wrong this season. I said the one thing no one speaks on is the fact that similar to Liverpool, but nowhere near as bad, De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Bernardo Silva have not done their job as well with winning the ball high up the pitch, and we're inviting pressure back onto us, right? And then I thought, all right, let me move a bit further than that. Actually, it's the fact that we haven't got Jesus and Foden used to lead our press from the front. And now we haven't got that anymore. We haven't
No.
got that because Haaland's trying, but, he's not a press machine like. And
No,
this is where maybe Alvarez could do it, maybe. But
yeah, Alvarez. I love Alvarez. He looks a player, I've got to say. And the one thing I would say about Man City, and I've said this before on your channel, no matter how much money City have got, they are very good in the transfer market. You know, Alvarez, what was he, 12 mil? You know,
I think it got boosted up a bit more to get him to join us 6 months early.
yeah,
But you're only
but
talking an extra couple of mil.
it's great. You know, you can be very wealthy. I've always said this. You can have the richest owners in the world, yeah, but you can waste money, right? Because you've got that
Yeah.
wealth. It's very easy. I personally think Chelsea have wasted a lot of Todd Bowley's money over the 2 transfer windows. I think there's some players there. You look it back here now and you go, Madrid for
Well,
almost 100 mil and things like
do you
that.
know what?
It's mad. It's mad.
The whole City. I've said this when we were being accused of all cheaters and all of that, and I said, look, right now it was around the same time that Chelsea were actually spending shitloads of money, and I said, look, Todd Bowley has come out loud and proud saying that he's found a loophole which allows him to spend shitloads of money, right?
Yeah.
So are you telling me that because he found a loophole, Chelsea are morally correct? Morally correct. And they go, well, it's a loophole. I said, okay, no problem. So Manchester City, right? We are a very well-run club. We've been in court before. We won, right? So even if we won because we found a loophole, are you saying if we go up in court and we haven't been loud and proud like Todd Bowley, but our shrewd solicitors go, well, actually, here's a loophole that we've used, right? Does that now make us morally right? If you want to talk morals,
mad, isn't it?
get rid of morals, man.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know if you've seen, but today City's owner has been he's moved up. He's now vice president of the UAE, so not just Prince of Abu Dhabi, vice president of the UAE. Now, I'm just gonna say, do the Premier League really want it with the vice president of the UAE? And how would the government feel about that? Because I think from what I've seen in court this week or something over those white papers thing, the Premier League have been fucking torn apart by the government about it. So it's all mad, all of that. But I think you're right. We have been shrewd. The other thing that amazes me, I was watching this podcast the other day and someone said Man City do not have the pulling power on players that they used to, right? We've just got...
That makes no sense.
We've just got Julian Alvarez, who we signed a year ago, who has just won a World Cup, who could go anywhere in the world, who spent a lot of this season, some might say, being a bench player. He's just signed an extension at the club till 2028, right? So that's the type of stuff that we're doing that gives me hope. I mean, I'm happy with where the club is. I think this season hasn't been a great season, but we're still in 3 competitions, so...
Yeah, I mean, look, all that pulling power stuff is a nonsense because, look, way I look at it, City have never gone out really and done a PSG. You got equal sort of money, and you never gone and
tried it and it failed, bro.
Yeah, but you didn't. You haven't I think that's what they're looking at because PSG get your Mbappes, your Neymars, and your Messis and stuff like that, and City are looking at it, and you went and got a Kanjis and things like that, 15 million. I don't think it's the fact that you can't pull these players in. It's that Pep's got a system he wants to play in a certain way he wants to play.
Yeah.
And he buys the players that suit his system. It's simple as that. And if it don't suit his system and they got an attitude problem, then Pep goes, see you later. And he doesn't care. Cancelo was your best fullback last season. And like halfway through the season,
I debate that, but yeah, I hear you.
But you know what I mean? He was quality last season. And
no,
then
do you know what?
He's like, you got an attitude problem. Off you go. Simple.
I had this conversation with Callum from Coppish earlier. We were talking about Klopp, and do you know what? Hold tight, Monts, because Monts does this real. He's the banter side of content creation, But today on Never a Foul, my God, his breakdown of Liverpool his breakdown of Van Dijk today was sensational, and it had me sat there going, "You're spot on," and it really was spot on with the issue that Van Dijk has had this season. And then we kind of spoke on Pep and Klopp. And this season, round January time, I think late January, early February, when we played Tottenham and Cancelo left and all of that, and that was our meltdown period. I think it was just after we'd been called, or just before we'd been called cheats. And Pep came out and he was calling out a lot of our senior players and dropping them, right? And
Foden, didn't he, for a while? Dropped Foden for a while. Didn't he drop Foden for a while as well?
The Foden one's the only one that none of us really get. There was an injury involved, and Foden spoke on it. He said that, he's come back, he's had really good form, but he said what it was before, and I'd read it at the time, is it wouldn't necessarily be called an injury, but it was an uncomfort. Whenever he was playing, he would feel an uncomfort on his feet, right?
Yeah.
I did also hear that he was slightly involved in the Cancelo thing, where maybe he took Pep's side and other... There's more happen behind the scenes in it. Any of us ever know. I think personally, If Fernandinho was still at our club, none of that ever would have happened. A Brazilian-speaking and English-speaking captain would have diffused the whole shit, right? Instead, it was left to De Bruyne and Gundogan, our club captains, who, for me, aren't captain material, and have been playing with all these players. And then all of a sudden, there's groups of players falling out. And I think, ultimately, they didn't know how to deal with it. And it impacted their performances on the pitch as well. I think a lot went on at City that under Mancini we would have heard about. Under Pep, it's kept under wraps. But Pep called out a lot of senior players that maybe didn't seem to have the drive this season. And at the time, it was like, what are you doing? Why is Diaz not starting? Why is this person? But now when you look at it, it's like, I get it. And it was almost like to certain senior players, you know what? If I have to bench you for the rest of the season and you leave in the summer and we play a younger player, we will forfeit this season because I've just signed a 2-year extension, right? We'll go again next season with a new group of players because it's time for a refresh.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, maybe, because I am a fan of Klopp. We are now at a point with City and Liverpool, I think, where we can put the rivalry almost aside for a minute and look back and go, it was fucking good, man. And maybe that's where Klopp, I feel, has been a little bit stubborn and
he's more loyal. He is more loyal.
Loyal.
Yeah, there is more loyalty in Pep.
Faith,
I mean,
because he knew, you know what? Maybe he had nothing better, so he thought maybe I'm better to show faith in players that have done it for me before.
It is. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I like to see how ruthless Klopp can be once money starts coming into the club or players start coming into the club, and let's see how ruthless he is. But there is a bit of me that thinks he's not. He is. Look, when you listen to Klopp talk about anything that ain't football, like personal issues or something like that, he's very socialist and left wingish, Jurgen. So he does maybe think a little bit different like that. So he might, he does care and stuff like that. Where I think Pep's the same. I think Pep cares and everything as well. But I think Pep's just got a bit more of a ruthless streak in him.
He keeps himself separated from the players a bit.
Yeah, and you hear in interviews as well. Pep. I think for Klopp and Pep, first is everything. So I don't think Klopp's happy finishing second, but I think Klopp is easier. I think Klopp accepts it more than Pep would, if that makes sense. But they've both got the same sort of hunger.
That's why Pep's where he is.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's why Pep is.
That's why they're top managers. They're both top managers. Yeah, they're both top.
That's why they are, because Pep has gone to a club where it's been made for him, and he knew what it was. Look, I've always spoke on this. In any profession, if you're a good musician, you're going to record at the best studio, right? As an example. So, whereas with Klopp, he joined Liverpool knowing, like, he didn't join Liverpool with the history that Pep joined City with. He joined Liverpool with, he was a very good manager that could achieve a lot with less than other people, right?
Yeah.
They've gone into the right roles. And that's what's created the last 5 years, man. And that's what's left me, Jamie, looking at this game this weekend, not underestimating Liverpool one little bit.
It's a mad game this weekend. Look, as I was speaking before you joined and saying, usually around now when Liverpool City play, it's a title deciding game for both teams. They've been leading the line in. I know a lot came out recently because Wenger and so went in the Hall of Fame, and they're talking about the rivalry of, nothing compared to Arsenal, Man United, and that's probably true in a way, especially off the field because the hatred, right? But I think people easily put aside the rivalry between City and Liverpool over the last few years, because I think Liverpool and City have taken the league to a different level. I think they have taken English football to a different level in recent years. The rivalry between the two is not vicious off the pitch. Or anything like that. It was getting a bit thingy like that between the fans. I think the fan base is looking at it like that because there's a lot of idiot fans in the world of both teams. You know what I mean? Everyone's got idiotic fans. But from a spectacle point of view, the City-Liverpool games, in my opinion, in their peak a couple of years ago, I think was the biggest game in European football.
The best.
I think it took over even Real Madrid, Barcelona. I really do. It went to such a level.
The level. It could be a draw.
Yeah,
it could be a draw, but the quality of the game was just insane. And do you know what? It's funny because I was watching Football Terrace the other day. and Terry was trying to kind of say, you shouldn't downplay what Fergie did and what Wenger did. I agree with them. You
Yeah,
shouldn't.
of course you
But
shouldn't.
there's always this narrative that I don't get, right?
They
And the
downplay us
narrative is that,
constantly.
the Premier League was a lot harder back then, right?
That's hard
And I'm
argument.
like, sorry, the Premier League back then, right, was Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea just about coming. Liverpool weren't that great. City were not about. Tottenham were Tottenham. And then the rest of the teams would get battered home and away, right?
Yeah.
And yet still they would not hit the points that Liverpool and City hit. So it doesn't make sense to me. But to be frank with you, their fan bases are big, so I just go, I can't be asked with this argument. Whatever you think, no problem.
Just take it. Exactly. I think it's from the Arsenal fans are in cloud nine at the moment because they're top of the league and they've been nowhere for 10 years and all of a sudden they've all come out again and it's just you have to take it as the way it is. But no, the league for me, I always look at it and think Man United, like you and me especially, we're old enough to remember. A lot of new fans are like just seeing what they see now. But I watching Premier League back then, obviously, and Arsenal and Man United were going at it every week, head to head. And
For
it
a
was
couple of
amazing
years.
to watch. Yeah, it was amazing to watch. It was a great spectacle because they hated each other off the pitch. The managers hated everyone hated each other, and it was beautiful. And then, but no one in the league was rich apart from them two at the time, really. And then Chelsea came along. Chelsea got Roman, and they started to spoil the party and came in between and separated them. And then it was them three going at it for a while. Then obviously Man City, they got rich. Then it was them four. Then Liverpool came back in the game because Jurgen Klopp came along and we were in the game now. Then Leicester City got a bit of money and we forget Leicester City. I think we all downgrade. I know Leicester are having a bad season this year, but last few years, Leicester have been up there. And they have had money and they built a nice side. So you're then looking at it and then West Ham can spend 150 million in the summer. And now you're looking at it and thinking, well, this league is much
the amount
tougher
Forest spent.
Yeah, this
This
league
is what I mean.
is much.
Look,
It's
when
much tougher
Jose
now.
said it at Real Madrid in the when he was managing Real Madrid, he'd look at games in the league and go, "I can rest players this week for the Champions League because we're going to win that even if I rest players." He said the minute he got to the Premier League, there was no game he would ever look at and go, "I can rest players." But it's what it is. I just think with Arsenal, if I'm being honest with you, and it hurts them, but they don't like the truth. The truth is they have only won 3 Premier Leagues in their peak era, right? They never retained the Premier League, right?
No.
And in Europe, their record is actually worse than City's. So that's the truth of Arsenal's golden era. They don't want to hear it because they'll just pull out this little gold trophy like their Paul Bearer with the Undertaker, with the
gold trophy, man.
right? But
that
that's the truth of it. Wenger did change football. And you know what? For a period before the stadium, they were amazing. They had some of the best players, but they didn't achieve enough. They did not achieve enough in that period for me.
No. I mean, when Arsenal won their Invincible League, I mean, they drew 12 league games and didn't win any of the domestics or European trophies. And, was it actually that great? And I mean, look, everyone's going to argue it because it's everyone, if you're an Arsenal fan and Man City, everyone's going to argue their team, and I get it. But, I think you can look at the Man United Arsenal rivalry as something special. I think you can look at the City Liverpool time as something special and just move on from that and just enjoy both generations, both times.
Exactly.
I don't get why we have to go. That one was certainly better. It's just
because during international breaks, it makes content.
Yeah, it's silly. So that's why I sometimes don't go on big, like massive channels that do a lot of banter in football and all that. So I get annoyed by it all because I'm like, can we just?
I avoid comparisons, bro.
Yeah, can we talk about it properly, and not just go right, this. So I always talk about the Van Dijk situation, when like they say he can never be one of the greatest centre backs in the Premier League ever, and I say why not? Because at his peak, at his best, the man almost beat Messi and Ronaldo to a Ballon d'Or as a centre back, and no one else has done that in the era. And also at his peak when he was that good, he was the best in the world.
And you know what? For
if
me,
you do it for 2 years. If you do it for 2 years, I'll still take it.
But you're saying 2 years, but this is the thing that the same people that would argue that Van Dijk can't be put in that conversation, where the truth of it is, before the 2 or 3 years he did it at Liverpool, he did it at the best level he could at Southampton and at Celtic, right?
Yeah, but we bought him.
But those same people will argue last season there'll be Tottenham fans saying Romero is world class. There'll
Right.
be Arsenal fans this season saying Saliba is the truth, Saka's the truth. And it's
Yeah.
like, hold on. When Diaz had that one, when he arrived at City and he had that amazing first season, we won the league. He got player of the season, Premier League player of the season.
Yeah.
But I said, I need to see more than that. We can't, as a City fan, I can't be saying I need to see more from Van Dijk after 3 or 4 years, but then all of a sudden be saying Diaz is world class. I can't.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
not
with you.
fair, right?
I'm
Van
with you.
Dijk has got to that point where, for me, yeah, he is in a conversation. For me, Van Dijk and Vincent Kompany, I think, will end their careers very, very similar, where unfortunately injuries maybe came at the wrong time and took them out of that conversation with your Terry and Ferdinands.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, look, Vinny Kompany was he was special as well, but you're just never allowed to talk about these players. And when you go on them shows, it annoys me because I'm like, can we just have a serious conversation and all that? And then player versus player and what, like, it's just, can't we enjoy them? Can't we enjoy them? Man United fans will tell you Sam's one of the best defenders ever in the Premier League, but he was only here 2 years. But you can't say it about Virgil. And it's just, it winds me up because I just like to have serious conversation. I love football. That should have banter in it. Of course it should. Yeah. But I like banter going so far, and then I like talking about football seriously. It's just the way I am, I think. It's just the way I am.
So what do you think this weekend then?
Well,
in fact, let me just run and grab something quickly.
Go for it.
Oh, and stretch my legs.
Have a stretch. Yeah, this weekend. Look, for everyone in the chat, big up to everyone in the chat. You're all doing well. Big up Pat-Man, big up Captain Sal, big up Ant. How you doing, man? Big up Mac, Bailey. Hope you're all doing well. There was a Chelsea fan in here talking about 2 Londoners talking about northern teams. I think Daps was born in Manchester and moved to London.
Someone asking, that question's popped back up, has it?
Yeah. I think you were born in Manchester, weren't you? So
no, I wasn't actually born in Manchester. I was born in Barnet.
Yeah.
I was born in Barnet. Then my mum remarried when I was 3 and I moved to Manchester when I was 3.
There you go.
And then I lived up there until I was 16. My sister still lives up there. My sister is actually married to the son of the man that founded the Hillsborough charity.
Oh, beautiful.
He's a Scouser, but both his kids are Blues. So
there you go. I mean, look, I don't know. I've been supporting Liverpool. I'm 41. I've been supporting Liverpool since I was 10 years of age. It's just my dad's a massive Liverpool fan. He was born in, he watched Liverpool through the 70s, everything. So of course I'm going to support the team my dad supports. It's the way life is.
It is the way it is.
But what I don't get about it, if your team wants to be a worldwide massive team, then they can't just be supported locally.
No, and do you know what, bro? I'll be honest with you. There are City fans that, like, I've got in arguments with City fans, and I go week in, week out. I still get in arguments with City fans, like away. It's more on away games. When like at Tottenham recently, and a City fan, and it's always when we've lost, right? And everyone's pissed off. And I'm in the toilet, and someone said, me and Huey were speaking. Someone gone, where have you lads got your tickets from? And I've gone, why? And he's gone, no, I'm just asking. I go, no, you're not. Tell me why. And he goes, no, I'm just asking. I'm doing a survey. I go, no, you're not. Tell me why. Is it because of my accent? He goes, well, maybe. I said, okay, so because of my accent, you're asking where I got my tickets from. I go, I'm going to give you an honest answer. I got my tickets off of someone that is from Poland that got them through the Polish supporters group, right? I said, he goes, oh, so you don't go regularly? I go, no, I go very regularly. I go to every single home game and I go to every single away European game, right? But I'm just telling you, honestly, where I got my tickets from, because you asked the question, but you have an issue with my accent. Like, how? And the funny thing is, he was younger than me. And I said, I was a season ticket holder at Main Road, though. Were you?
He probably wasn't born when Main Road was there.
You were season ticket, because I was. Were you? And it's mad. We need to embrace, every club needs global fans. But I do understand why people don't want glory supporters. However, also, we have to understand that young fans from all over the world are going to support Manchester City. I've got mates whose kids now support City.
You're winning things. Players are going to start when kids are little. When they look at success. So if a team's winning trophies and always winning stuff, as an 8-year-old kid, you're going to be like, oh, I like that. So you go automatically. You can't just this narrative
Man
does my
United
head
haven't
in.
got their fan base fucking just because they're all from fucking Salford, right? Salford's not that big.
No,
Right?
exactly. It's just it's silly, and you should even have to defend yourself.
I don't really, because someone
Mad.
asked it. The beauty thing, the one thing I'll always say is anyone that knows me, knows my history, knows where I lived. Anyone knows that if I didn't have a daughter, I'd live back up there now, to be fair. And all the City fans that I go home and away with, they know who I am. They know where I live because they come down here to get cheap flights when we play abroad. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's mad. But look, the City Liverpool game. Now, I've said it all season actually about Manchester City because I don't hate Manchester City by any stretch of the imagination. I like the rivalry between Liverpool and City. As I say, I think it's the best. But I look at City this season, I just don't know. Now, I've said it about Liverpool. I think Liverpool are shattered. They're tired, and it's a bit of a transitional year for Liverpool. As much as Liverpool fans hate that word, I think Liverpool
So
just
do I.
so tired. I also think City are a little tired as well, mentally, because
Mentally,
I look at the battles between City and Liverpool the last few years. No matter who you are, is going to eventually take their toll on them. And I think the Haaland factor, Haaland coming in, no matter what people think, I think Haaland is a world-class player, world-class striker, no matter what. But of course, that kind of player is going to take a while for the way City play to get used to each other. Yeah,
yeah.
to get used to each other. Like I think was it the season before you basically playing De Bruyne false nine, and it worked for the Pep system. Pep's never really. He had. I remember the Ibrahimovic days at Barcelona where he couldn't
And Eto'o
really.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't really work into City system, to Barcelona system. Sorry, and he
Yeah.
let him go and he started playing Messi as that false nine, and it worked better for him. And I look at City this season. I think as actually the season's gone on, what I will credit to Haaland with is I think Haaland is now trying to work out the way City play as well, and he's adapting himself, not just the club adapting
Both
to
ways.
him. I think it is It's starting to work both ways now. You see that with
Yeah.
Haaland, and look, for me, City probably. You look at their team; they probably should be above Arsenal in the league. Arsenal have done really well, taking advantage of a bit of a more of a lackluster City this season. Doesn't mean City are crap or anything like that. I think they're just not at. They're just. What I will say, I'm not scared of Manchester City as much
This
as I used
season.
to be, if that makes sense.
Do you know what?
I
Right.
used to play City, and I used to think, "Oh God, City with Aguero and Sterling
Oh,
and
bro, go back to
Jesus,
17.
Sane." That is a scary City.
Oh, 90. So Pep's second season, right, 2017 to 2020, was the best Manchester City there has ever been, right? You
Yeah.
go back and watch. I was watching the highlights from the City Arsenal game that season. The goals we were scoring were different.
Oh,
And I had an Arsenal fan the other day saying Arsenal look like champions. The way they're getting results
yeah.
when it doesn't look like they're going to get results. And an Arsenal fan said, "Yeah, we're looking like the killers that Man City used to be." I said, "Whoa, hold on.
No, it's different
No,
world, man.
the
Different
killers
world.
Man City used to be were 4-5-6-0. Tell me
100
when
point, 100-point
tell me when
season.
you've done that, right? You're not
No.
that team yet. Don't get carried away. But this season, right? If you take the season that Liverpool 2021, the season you dropped off, right? And people will say defensive issues, but it was more than that. Nothing is ever one thing. There's knock-on effects. Like for me, the fact that Klopp took your DM at the time, who's possibly the best DM in the world, and played him as a defender.
Yeah, that's the problem there. Yeah,
that's an issue. The fact that probably some of your players wanted contract extensions, so weren't quite as happy. The fact that Klopp probably had to speak to players slightly differently. All little factors that come in, right? And this season with City is the big overriding one for me is we've gone from a team that play with basically everyone in midfield, well, with a certain number of midfielders. The minute you take that false nine out, you're losing a player in midfield. Now, to someone like Pep Guardiola, whose whole philosophy is midfield domination, he wants to find another way to fill that void, right? Now, what he found is invert your fullbacks, right? Invert your fullbacks, you've got them extra men in midfield. Great. If you invert your fullbacks and then, you invert your fullbacks, then firstly, you're not pressing as high up the pitch. You're not winning the ball back as quickly. That invites pressure. First issue. City have never been great with pressure. It's always been the one way
No.
to get at City is to hit them on the counter. So straight away, you're inviting pressure. Then, and this is the key that people don't speak about enough. You had that season where Van Dijk was injured all season and whatever else. This season, we've had Walker, Diaz, Laporte, and Stones all out for 5 to 6 weeks, right? So if you're inviting pressure back on Diaz and John Stones, no problem. If you're inviting pressure back on Akanji and Ake, neither of them lead the line, right? And your fullbacks are fucking inverting up here, all of a sudden, and you haven't got Walker's pace chasing back to all of those little things. And this is why we've still scored the same number of goals and with the highest scoring team in Europe, like we were, I think, last season. We have been for a long time. You look at the goals we've conceded. That's where our issue has been. We've been conceding goals. And it's as simple as that. Diaz has come back in with 5 clean sheets on the bounce, and all of a sudden everything's looking better again.
He's your number one centre back, isn't he? I mean, once you got them back, it is true. You can't win anything without a solid defence.
You can't, bro. No one, and a solid DM.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to as well. Number 6 is that Fabinho, he's just fallen off. He's just fallen off. I even said it last season, and everyone kept saying to me, "Jamie, what are you chatting about?" But I just saw it. I just saw little bits in his game. Like, hang on,
because I used to look
quality DMs.
I used to look at City's midfield, right, and think, my God, like we had creators. Silva, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Yaya Toure. You could just go through City midfielders, Nasri, over the eras and go, just creation. It's so. But there was a period where I would look at your midfield and, all right, I'm going to go into my simple, basic mind where there's not all these a million different roles for midfielders. I'm talking you're even a creative midfielder or you're more of a workhorse, DM. Even if you're an 8, you're just a, energy. You're not there for creation. It's important. And I used to look at Liverpool and think Henderson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and think, my God, Liverpool had engines, just a midfield.
We just outworked everyone. That's what we did. We just outworked everyone.
And it just went like that. You saw it, but we didn't.
No, that's the thing. It's just, the way our system, I've always said it, Jurgen Klopp's system, when it's right, is one of the best systems in world football, without a shadow of a doubt. It is. My problem with Jurgen this season has been his lack of adapting. And that's been a little bit of an issue with me. Some Liverpool fans don't think Klopp does anything wrong, and that's where we have a bit of a. I know Cal from Coppish, he's been on Klopp's back for a while now as well. Some people are, some people are not. Some people just blame the owners. See, I'm always like, if we win together, no one's to blame. If we lose together, everyone's to blame. That's how I always look at it.
That's my view. Yeah, that's my view.
If we don't, can't be picking holes here, there, and everywhere.
No, if we lose the league this season, and so we're playing you potentially without Haaland at the weekend. That is, I don't want to hear no one say that. Right?
I think he plays.
We'll see. Apparently, he trained by himself today. I thought he didn't train. I've just been told he did train.
Individual training, was it?
But people are saying off the bench, who knows? Who knows? You know what? It is what it is. And this is the thing. It shouldn't matter. If we're a team like Brighton that don't spend much, all right. But when we're teams that are in the top 6, top 8 and spend a lot of money, we support the club we support. We might not like the owners, but they're our owners, right? And that's how I've always felt about it. If I've always had the argument with people that City's squad is not as big as people make out. And honestly,
we spoke about this last season.
Go and look at it. We really aren't. However, that's not an excuse because our manager has decided to do that, right? So if we get injuries and all of a sudden don't have enough players, that Pep's accountable for that. Our sporting director, everyone at the club is accountable for every little thing. We decided to let Cancelo go and not get a replacement in. So if Ake gets injured, again, that's on us, right? Everything is on us.
I agree.
I just think with Klopp, the one thing with Klopp that surprised me massively, and this is where, it's similar with Conte, right? People will say they're either Conte or Levy, right? It's like, do you know both can be at fault? Because both can be, and this is, it's nowhere near as bad at Liverpool. Because Klopp and Conte should not be
One thing I just want to say quickly on the Tottenham thing. What irritates me about Tottenham, is Tottenham are not a big team, right? They've got to get this out of their system yet. They're not a big team, right? And at this moment in time,
They're Everton in London.
yeah, the Spurs are not a big team. Like my brother-in-law and nephew are Spurs fans, and so they're probably shouting at me right now, right? But they're not a big team, right? They're a team that's happy to be there, right? And at this moment in time, they're fourth in the Premier League, I think, right? Under Conte, who's apparently doing a terrible job.
Yeah, it's mad though.
What did they think Conte was going to do? Did they think Conte was going to come in and buy Fraser Foster and Basuma and challenge for the Premier League title? That's madness to me.
Jamie, this is the truth of it. Jamie, in the start of the summer, you know what? When I speak to other fan bases, I will often start off downplaying my club, right? So, like with Arsenal, I'll tell Arsenal, when I watch you in the Europa League, you actually look like City in Europe. That you just don't look like you believe yet because your history in Europe's not enough. They will then go fucking mad, right? And it's like, you do we're bigger than you and all that crap. It's like, you do realise I actually just knocked my own club as well. Same with Tottenham. I said to Tottenham fans at the start of the season, with the manager you have, right, as a Man City fan, we've gone and got a manager that has won the Champions League before. We've been in the Champions League every season for 12 years now. We've reached 3 semi-finals, but we still don't look like we know how to do it yet because we haven't done it yet. We haven't got the history Liverpool have. We haven't got the heritage. It is a thing. Going away from home against these teams is mad.
Oh, right? Europe it is. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I said, now, you as a Tottenham fan, it's great that you celebrated over Arsenal, that you got Europe and you got Champions League, they didn't. Great. But you've gone and got a manager that actually might win you a domestic trophy. Stop celebrating being in the Champions League. The best thing that could happen to you is you get knocked out in the group stages because Conte's record in Europe is dog shit, right? So as a City fan with a manager that can do it, I'm still not sure if we can win it. Tottenham fans are going, why can't we win the Champions League? It's like, do you know what? I'm done. Because and I'll say this to Liverpool fans, when Liverpool fans say City should have won the Champions League by now, no, you expect me to respect how difficult it is to win it. So same thing, right? So when Tottenham fans think they can go from not even being able to win a Carabao Cup to going and winning the fucking Champions League just like that because you've got Conte is insane. But that's how they are.
I've never got it. But the City, Liverpool this weekend, neither team for me can lose. It is one of them for me. You know, Liverpool's next 3 games. We obviously got you guys Saturday afternoon. Then we've got Chelsea. Chelsea's our game in hand. You know, that's a midweek game, and then I think what is it, Easter Saturday or Easter Saturday we've got Arsenal home, and then after that we've got Leeds and Nottingham Forest. So this is not if Liverpool don't lose any of these next 3 games and pick up 7 points, I fancy Liverpool finish 4th.
Look, we did our final predictions, and I've put Liverpool in the top 4 still, right? And the reason is that everyone would look at, you know, there's multiple things you look at for why people are going to finish where they're going to finish. And for example, with the league, you're going to say Arsenal are going to win it based on this season they've been the better team, which they have. But then when you look at, but the pluses for City is that they do have the know-how. We have been in this situation before. We do know how to do it. Same with Liverpool. If I look at the teams going for top 4, which team in recent years can go on mad runs? Liverpool. Which team has been in a very similar position to this a few years ago and ended up finishing 3rd? Liverpool, right?
Yeah, true.
Which team on paper, if it's the best Liverpool against the best Newcastle, the best Tottenham, the best Brighton, the best Chelsea, the best whoever you want, it's Liverpool. So for me, and I just think if you get a result against us on Saturday at the Etihad, then away from us and Arsenal for a minute, those other teams fighting for top 4 are shitting themselves, right? Because they're thinking, fucking hell, Liverpool are coming live. Same way, if we get a result against you, Arsenal will beat Leeds.
Yeah.
But then we go and get a result against Southampton next weekend on the Saturday. Arsenal have to go to Anfield, and you beat Anfield. Arsenal will then be looking at us going, fuck. Yeah, we're only 2 points ahead of them, and we've got to go to the Etihad.
And they got to go away to us, away to you, think they've got to go away to
Newcastle.
Chelsea, and away to Newcastle.
Yeah.
So
So
they got some hard games.
this game's huge for both of us, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where you look at again and you go, Klopp, Pep, they always try and outmaster each other. They always make little changes or do little things. And I look at this one and think, right, how are Liverpool going to play? I don't know. How is City going to play?
Neither do we.
Will you try and press Rodri, right? Will you put Hendo on Rodri?
Nah, I don't think we'll do that.
Will Diaz start?
I'm hoping Diaz doesn't start because I don't want him to carry on getting injured.
Yeah.
The way I think we should play on Saturday, it's not the way we played at Anfield against you guys, where we conceded possession, we sat back in our formation, we stayed nice and tight. I mean, Milner was playing right back that day. Didn't get Foden a kick. He played out of his skin.
Well, I said earlier when Callum mentioned Milner might start, I said I'm not going to knock it now because I get it. Foden 2 years ago had him. Foden's not starting, right?
No.
Milner generally against City is good, so I'm not going to knock him.
I love Milner. I think if it weren't for Milner's age, I'd keep Milner around. I think Milner is actually a fantastic footballer.
Oh yeah,
he's 38. I've always said it. Milner is a better footballer than Hendo, without a doubt. And
do you know the funny thing is that people? So the season he left us on a free, right?
Yeah.
In fact, Igal tweeted earlier. Sorry, he tweeted at me, or at me and Lewis. He tweeted, "City made a mistake selling Zinchenko. Chelsea made a mistake selling us Jorginho." And I said, Igal, stop attention seeking. Right now, I'm worrying about how we made a mistake letting Milner go to Liverpool, right? And the truth is that season, when he left us on a free, he was one of our best players. And that was a more advanced kind of winger, Milner. Milner has always been a very good player who has learned by the players around him. I really think that spell at City alongside David Silva, Yaya Toure, he became he's always been professional and he knows what these games mean.
I mean, for me, I wouldn't be surprised if Milner starts. I'm not sure how we go. I'd want to go about it because that game before Christmas when we played in the League Cup at the Emirates, at your ground, that was a great game of football. Well enjoyed. I mean, we lost, but
it was another welcome back from international football as well.
What a game of football that was! That was pure end to end. That was just. I think Jamie Carragher said on commentary, we just had the World Cup final where everyone was lauding as the greatest game ever, and then we're watching just a League Cup here between City and Liverpool.
You know what? We both looked a little bit rusty, though. It was. You know what it was? It looked like the two best teams in England again. Yeah, but we both looked that little bit rusty.
We both had. I mean, you should have scored more goals probably, but then we should have scored.
Nunes had a few chances.
Darwin had some one-on-ones. It could have been anything that game.
Yeah.
If it was 5-5, I wouldn't have been shocked. It was that sort of game. It was epic. But I don't want that at this time. I want us to go nice and tight, basically. Yeah, we'll possession-wise, we're going to concede possession of City in a way because we haven't got the midfield right now to take that possession away from you. But what we have got is pace in the front end. And Gakpo, Darwin, and Mo, if that's the three that play, if I was Klopp, I would just get them to cheat all game. Don't worry about coming back so much. Stay on the halfway line. That's play.
And this is the thing. Me, Cal, and Matt were talking on it last night, right? And in fact, before that, I was talking with the City Extra boys. And you're right. That is how Liverpool could get some success against City. And then you look at how City play, and usually this season we've predominantly been playing with whether it be Rico Lewis or whether it be John Stones. They play it right back, but they actually end up playing alongside Rodri, right? To give that extra man in midfield to dominate the midfield. And Steve said, but we don't need that midfield against Liverpool, right? Liverpool are happy to let us dominate the midfield, right? What we might need is this game to go, Rodri, you can do it by yourself. With Gundo, with Bernardo, whoever it is, you can do that by yourself. You don't need that extra man against his Liverpool team. No. What we do need is we need Kyle Walker for this game.
Definitely.
We need a Kanji and Aki who have both got pace. We need those players that... And this is where it's so beautiful when it is Klopp and Pep. That last season when we came to Anfield, we kept hitting out of nowhere. We kept hitting long balls over the top, out of nowhere. And it was like, because you know that when Pep and Klopp sit down at the start of the season, look at the fixtures, there's games that I think I'm going to have to sit down and think about this one. And this is a game where it's like, right, Klopp's going to try and do something clever. Therefore, I have to try and be ready for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pep and with Pep, I think he actually looks at Klopp as his greatest ever opponent in management.
Tactically, yes.
Yeah, I think he looks at Klopp and when you did when City did the Amazon show, the first one, and Pep was talking about Liverpool and talking about Klopp. As he says, he thinks Klopp's the best counter-attacking coach,
Yeah.
best attacking coach, and I agree. Klopp
I
at his
think he looked
best
at
is.
Tuchel, and I think he now thinks, I've got Tuchel's numbers. Tuchel had that period, but since then hasn't won against City once, right?
Klopp's got a great
And
record against Pep, ain't he? That's mad.
Yeah. Then you look at Jose, who obviously Jose and Pep went at it, but I don't ever think Pep looked at Jose and thought, tactically, this is a competition. Jose's just got that mentality that's a bit different. I don't think he ever looks at that and think, oh, tactically, fucking hell, this is a nightmare. Whereas with Klopp, it's someone where he looks at it and goes, oh, this one is a bit different. We have to, and I do think over the years he's also learned. Pep has learned that going to Anfield is different. I think that's something that he has learned in this league. Is you also have to look at outside factors like the ground you're going to, the fans, and all of that. And
yeah, look at the end of the day, though, Liverpool is just in a bad way at the moment. We're a weird side. We seem to play well against the bigger teams, and then when you have Leeds and Nottingham Forest, we fall away. I think it's a mentality thing with us right now. We've got a few. I think we've got issues where we're obviously tired from last season, and we didn't invest enough into the parts of the area of the team that we needed, like midfield and stuff like that, freshening up. But there's definitely a mentality thing with the club at the moment. Trent gets a lot of abuse, and sometimes I think it goes too over the top. I don't think Trent's as bad as everyone gives him thing for. It's just that any right back, in my opinion, that gets exposed constantly is going to have trouble, no matter how good they are defensively. And that's part of the system that's not working at the moment. But Trent's still got issues that he needs to work on. And I don't think he's working on them. I wouldn't drop him, though, for City. I know a lot of people say maybe Milner in a right back. But yes, I know Trent's going to be a liability sometimes defensively, but I can't not have his creativity on the pitch.
I think against City as well,
have that creativity.
But against City, Trent's balls over the top to the likes of Darwin Núñez is worrying. Like, listen, I would never rule out Darwin Núñez scoring on Saturday, right? And I would never rule out Trent getting the assist.
Darwin against Walker could be fun.
Yeah.
So that could be a fun game, Darwin and Walker.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think Trent is, look, for me, Trent this season is, I've been very vocal on it. Trent is Trent. Trent is like Cancelo for City, right?
Yeah.
That,
you know what you're getting.
For the system, for the right system, he is undeniable, right? What he does, you make sure that he gets the protection he needs so he can do what he does, right? And Trent has not changed. The only thing that's changed is he's not getting the protection now, so he's having to get back and one, defend, which isn't his strong point, but two, is limiting him going forward a bit. So I don't think that's on Trent. That's on overall. Are you in agreement? Liverpool 3 at the back. Why has it not been tried before?
We talk about this every day on my channel. Wow, Klopp don't like 3 at the back. He's gone on. He's actually said it in interviews.
But he
before.
probably doesn't like losing neither.
He doesn't like 3 at the back. But when I look at Liverpool, you've got Gomez, Van Dijk, and Konate. I mean, that's a heck of a back three. Robbo and Trent as wing backs would be dangerous. And also, you get Trent in a position where he'll feel more comfortable. You get him on the ball in areas that you actually want Trent on the ball in. And then you can still have your 4 and then your 3 up top. I don't know why we're not trying it. Everyone in the chat, we always talk about it. Everyone in chat right now probably agree. We will probably
it's
never
even the fact that this season, one of the biggest issues is that Fabinho has not been that rock that protects your back two, right? So no problem. Let's switch it to a back 3. We don't have to play that rock now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Robertson can switch in if need be. Gomez can move out to the right because Gomez is very comfortable playing right back. Like you said, Konate is naturally left. And your leader, Van Dijk, plays with 3 at the back for Holland, right? Yeah. It literally is there in black and white. But you know what? Stubbornness of managers wins you trophies. So at the same time, there's managers that go, do you know what? I'll let you be stubborn. But for me, it's just a no-brainer when I look at it.
No, I agree. So, what's your 11? What's your 11 for City tomorrow? Oh,
Uh,
Saturday.
right. So it is Edison, it is Walker, it is Diaz, it is Akanji because of Akanji's pace.
Mm-hmm.
It is Ake on the left.
Oh,
Rodri,
what player Ake, by the way, this season?
unbelievable. Thank God we
Mm.
didn't sell him.
Mm.
So Ake on the left, and then Rodri, Gundogan, and De Bruyne. Alvarez, because I think Haaland's going to be on the bench. Alvarez, Grealish, and Mahrez.
No, Bernardo.
It's between. I wouldn't rule out Pep starting Bernardo instead of Mahrez and playing Bernardo as a kind of winger that can also drop back and get involved in the midfield. Maybe,
Yeah,
but we'll see. Because now with Alvarez on the pitch, maybe not. With Alvarez on the pitch, he might go. Alvarez can also kind of get involved in the midfield a little bit more, so maybe might go with Mahrez. But we don't know. If Haaland is fit, I think it's important he starts. Just because I think that I'd like to see. By the way, I'd like to see Haaland and Alvarez start against you.
yeah. I was
But
going to say that. Would he play them two together, but as a two maybe, or
oh,
one
they've been
behind
playing together
Haaland?
like that a lot this season, and
Yeah, one
most games
behind.
they've played in, they've both scored.
Do you
So
reckon that's the future at City?
yeah, I do.
Because
Look, Alvarez has just signed
yeah,
till 2028,
yeah,
right?
he's saying earlier. Yeah,
He can't have signed till 2028,
he's got
accepting that.
he's got plans. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got
he can't
plans.
have got no problem. I'll stay on the bench for the next 5 years of my life.
Yeah, he's got plans. He obviously there was something about Jesus. It's funny with Gabriel Jesus saying it because he brought Gabriel Jesus into the club because he thought he could do something more than Aguero to start with.
Yeah,
And Aguero was like, "No, I ain't having that. If you want me to play like that, I'll play like that." And then
Aguero
transformed
stepped up.
himself and
Yeah,
looked world class again. And then it was like, and then Jesus didn't really get much of. He got saves in games, but he was the bench player. He never threatened Aguero.
yeah,
Well, look at Alvarez now. I think like if Haaland has some bad games, right, ain't scoring, ain't doing the job he should be doing. I think Alvarez is a player that can threaten him. I
yeah.
watched when I watched Alvarez in the World Cup, linking with Messi and stuff like that. I was like, yeah,
Well,
this
just
kid's
that
special. This
alone,
kid's gonna be
bro.
special in a few years. Yeah,
Just that alone, you've got to think he scored 4 goals in the World Cup. If you go and look at his goals for City, he scored goals this season.
yeah, he's a talent.
He's probably more of a Pep player than Haaland, but what you just said there is very important as well. You know that Pep still speaks with Messi, right? And you know that Messi will have spoke about Alvarez and said, you know what? Because the difference between, if you look at Argentina over the years since Messi's been playing for Argentina, and you look at some of the strikers Messi has had alongside him, right? Monster strikers, right? But they haven't ever done enough. Now with Alvarez alongside him, he's won the Copa America and he's won the World Cup, right?
Yeah, winning
Because
everything. Yeah.
sometimes there's players that are happy to go. I know my role, no
Yeah.
problem,
They
right?
complement the star.
And
That's what
I
you want.
just think with Alvarez, he's a very humble guy that
Yeah.
just seems happy to be there, play his part. He's very quick as well, surprisingly quick.
No,
So
he's a good player, man. He's a good player. Right, I'll let you know my 11, then we'll finish up. So my 11, I think obviously we'll go Alisson, and if it weren't for Alisson this season, I don't know where we'd be. I think Trent will play. Van Dijk and Kanate. I love Kanate. Robbo obviously at left back because we need that shit housery, and Robbo gives us that. I think we're going to go Fabinho and Henderson double pivot in midfield, and I think we're going to play 4 attackers. I think we're going to play Jota in the 10, Gakpo, or Jota, Gakpo, Darwin, and Mo. That's how I think
do you
we're
know?
going.
Do you know what name? Well, see, that's what you need to do. You need to give City things to think about, right? And that's what I think there. Because straight away when you say that, I've already spoke on Nunes, right? That despite, I find it funny the banter side and all of that, but the fact is, look, Nunes hasn't had a bad season. He's had a bad season by Liverpool standards and by his price tag.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a bad first season. If you think Havertz, the amount of seasons Havertz got to actually kick into gear,
Still getting, yeah.
right? And And then you look at Salah. I don't even need to speak to Salah. Like, even if he's
No.
not in good form, Salah against City comes alive.
Yeah.
And then you've just mentioned Jota. Jota always worries me. Always worries me.
Yeah,
So,
I've got a feeling. I like look with Jota. I'm a bit thingy on Jota at the moment. That it's been a year since Jota scored to the day on Saturday. I
wow,
think it's
for
12
real.
months.
He did have an injury though, didn't he?
Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries and that, but it just like I like them sort of like things like it's been 12 months. Stick Jota in. You know what I mean? But I think Liverpool can't afford to play 4-3-3 against Man City. We haven't got the midfield right now because I think if Stefan Bajcetic was not injured, I think we would play 4-3-3. I just don't want to go Harvey Elliott, Fabinho, and Hendo.
If
In
you
my
play like
opinion,
that,
we
if you
open
play like
ourselves
that,
up.
if
We
I was
open
Pep,
ourselves up. Yeah.
I'd be looking to isolate your forwards massively.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
exactly.
You have to, because if you don't, that's worrying. You have to isolate
exactly.
them.
So I think they might go Henderson and Fabinho as that double pivot. Just sit there, not do like just sit there, break up attacks when you can, and when you get
Press
the ball,
Rodri a little bit, maybe.
and just give it to that front four because at the end of the day, that front four, if they're on it, that's a great front four for us. So that's what I'm going with. I don't think we'll win the game. I think we'll get a 1-1 draw, and to be fair, taking a draw out of from City where we don't win away to you anyway. Taking a draw there at this moment in time would do me because I think we can beat Chelsea away, and I actually think we can beat Arsenal at home. I actually think we can do.
I hope to God you do, bro.
So that's where I'm going. I'm going 1-1. What are you saying, my man?
I'm not. All I will say is I've said this on every show. My friend Pancakes, hold tight Pancakes, spirit of Pancakes. Pancakes told me when we beat Newcastle 2-0, we were going to beat Liverpool 4-1. So we'll go with Pancakes' prediction.
There we go. Pancakes. That's a heck of a prediction. Thank you very much for joining me today, Zach.
No, appreciate you having me. And
I know you've been busy, man. I know you've been busy. Yeah. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the game
I will do,
Saturday, and don't message me anything horrible for you beat us.
Oh, I don't do that. Come on.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Thank you very much, guys. And guys, thank you very much for joining us. Link to Daps's channel is in the bio, guys. Go and have a look. Make sure you subscribe to Never Fail. Oh, by the way, Daps channel's going so good at the moment. I watch it every time you're live.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I've got to say, Cass is the greatest wind-up ever. I love the guy.
Trust me, bro.
I actually like Cass. Cass is a proper wind-up, but he's actually a good bloke when you talk to him.
Oh, he is. Away from it, bro, especially with both my daughter presents and all sorts. I have to try and explain that to some of the City lot that hate him. But,
no, I think Cass is all right, man. I think Cass is all right. I think he's a great guy. But you guys are smashing it over there at the moment, so congratulations to you guys as well.
Thank you.
So guys, go and subscribe to Never Fail. Big up to everyone. Enjoy. I'm not live tomorrow, guys. Day off. I'll be back for the watch along Saturday, so enjoy your day tomorrow. See you later.